Welcome back to another episode of EATO'S Brunch, your go-to show for all things food and lifestyle. I am your host, Mieke Turkson, and I'm surrounded by my beautiful co-panelists,
Emefa Tsikata,
Ijoma Grace Ago,
Amira Yunni,
and I am Gina Castel.
Today we have got an interesting conversation focusing on important aspects of Ghana's food scene. We're looking at the rise in food prices, food hygiene, and healthy eating. Let's jump right in. So as we know, Ghana has been facing some economic trouble in the last few years with inflation, rise in unemployment, and also high cost of living. I know I've personally kind of dealt with this in Dirty December, hosting some people out from the States, knowing that their purchasing power would go very far over here, but my Ghana city would not. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on this. What are your opinions?
First and foremost, I don't think everyone knows what Dirty December is.
Yeah, let's maybe clarify on what Dirty December is.
So, Dirty December is kind of a term that was coined originally from Nigerians, where a lot of the diasporans would come around December, around the holiday period, and just party. It encapsulated a lot of tourism. And with that, we saw a rise in the country's GDP through tourism. And like Mieke has just said, a lot of the purchasing power is shown through that, and that in turn leads to higher prices in food, accommodation, so on and so forth. Specifically in Ghana, Dirty December from the year of return up until now has garnered a spike in prices, and it's kind of affected a lot of people now.
That's very true. I noticed that, in August, inflation had rised up to, I think, like 31% or something drastic like that. It's gone down now. I think we're back at 26%. But that doesn't change the fact that everything feels sort of out of reach when it comes to purchasing power. And this expands over food. But I know there's certain aspects of this that have affected us all personally.
So due to the influx of diasporans or people visiting Ghana, I feel a lot of places are catering to that market, and obviously they feel the need to hike up their prices. Obviously they're smart business people, so they're trying to make more.
Right.
Which also leaves us at a disadvantage because we live in this economy. We're not earning in a foreign currency, and we don't have as much purchasing power as they do.
Right.
So in the sense of experiences, going to restaurants, or even buying foreign produce, for example, because obviously when people come down, they still want the comforts of what they have back home for basic things like milk or butter or cheese. Like those little things I feel have, gone up in prices. I mean, that's my personal experience. I don't know about anyone else.
No, you make a really good point, because obviously this is an issue about the global economy. I don't think it's just like only sequestered to food industries. I think this is in everything. This is like in getting your hair done, in getting basic things in the service industry. And you see that when things are hiking up, the prices are immediately related to things like prices in energy and prices in imports and things like that. So you just see this reflected in everything. You just try to buy at once. Yeah. And it feels like a violent, it feels like violent inflation. Like, why am I fighting for my life trying to buy some Cheez-Its?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. Right?
In my case, it will be food items. I bought tomatoes, 20 cedis, and it was a sizable sum, and then I'm buying closer to Christmas, and it was just
like 5 pieces.
It's like 5 tomatoes.
What's going on? So it can be quite jarring if you regularly buy things, or you buy maybe every other week. There's always that surge in price immediately these things go.
Definitely. Yeah. Have you guys ever done the thing where you do like the big food shop? So it's like once a month you go to, like, for example, when I was living in Europe, I'd go to like Lidl, for example. If y'all know, then y'all know. If y'all know, then y'all know. I'll go to Lidl and I would do the big food shop, and I'm buying everything in bulk. I'm buying the canned tomatoes in bulk. I'm buying my onions in bulk and everything like that. I don't think we're getting we're paying the in bulk prices, but we're getting like this much. And it just doesn't make sense to me anymore. It makes me feel like, should I be growing my own food?
Yeah.
Honestly, and to that point, I think you should, because at least for me, my parents got into gardening, and at first I kind of was laughing, making jokes about it. But now when it comes to a lot of the foods that we have, tomatoes, lettuce, fruits, all of these things, it's just as easy as going to the garden, picking it up, and cooking with it.
Definitely.
And I can already like feel a difference in the quality of the food and what I'm eating. So that probably has something to do with whether the foods that are being imported to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely
Yeah.
a difference, and that difference is not reflecting the hike in prices. Because if we're going to see a hike in prices, we should
you
see a
want
hike in
quality.
quality.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
Now,
And yeah.
So I felt it most when my cousins came. Like, so let's go here, let's go there. And they're looking at it from the pounds and dollars. And I'm like, go to where? That place is expensive. Like, just $50 alone when you convert it into CDs. No, it doesn't make any sense. I've got much more important things to be spending my money on that. So, like, you find ways to try and avoid hanging out. You don't want to hang out with families anymore because it's expensive. Because they don't live here.
It's a little big for my pockets. It's a little big.
On the flip side, we in the rentals and Airbnb sector,
Beneficial.
it was quite beneficial.
Right.
Yeah, bring it on.
Get that coin.
You find that some do not want to stay with family.
Yeah.
No,
So
definitely
they
don't
rather
want.
rent out so
Yes.
they can live large and all of that. So it was, on the flip side, we did enjoy the debt.
yeah,
People
similar.
like hype their price, like triple
Yeah.
the prices, double.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, wow.
I'm guilty of that,
Same.
where I realized there's a supply that's not that big, but the demand becomes way bigger around December. And so
taking
essentially
advantage.
playing into supply and demand, all you have to do is just, again, spike up the prices because you know that people are going to want
Buy it anyway.
these services, especially like you just said, away from their family.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
it doesn't serve us that are staying here because some people too want to go outside of their homes. They want to
Right.
spend, to have a different experience during the holidays, but it doesn't favor them because they live here. They're earning
Yeah.
these
Right.
and it's like we're still catering to the people outside.
No, you know what? You make a really good point because, like, personally, I'm triggered by that one statement you just said. If I was coming out here to Dirty December, trust me, I'm not trying to crawl back to my mother's house at 4 a.m. You get me? Like, I'm not trying to come back and be like, hey, hello, Mom. Like, how's it going? Yeah, you know what I mean? But I think, like, just circling back to even gardening, like you were saying, I think one of the bigger issues is a lack of investment in agriculture. And I think we touched on this earlier off camera, but I think that if we were able to kind of gather or rally around investing properly into agriculture. I saw this one thing. I've noticed this on Instagram where a lot of people will gather around, maybe the 7 to 10 friends, and they'll buy acres of land and they'll start planting crops. That to me was blowing me away.
That's amazing.
We should be linking up.
I'm telling you right now.
Sign me up.
Everyone
I'm
on this
telling you, because if you actually think about it, you're getting like 7 to 10 friends together. They put in an amount. You buy acres, often Ikrapim somewhere, okay? Off in the far lands, okay? And you're planting things that are essential, like your tomatoes, your potatoes, your greens, your corn, whatever the case may be, because you don't know where you're going to get into. I was on Instagram and I saw these people, I think maybe out of Michigan or Wisconsin in the States, and they were doing this in case of any sort of like economic turmoil or, they're doomsday preppers or whatever the case may be, their food shortages, whatever the case may be, but they were thinking smart. And I'm thinking that might be something we can take a page out of their book and apply it here, because I don't think, the money could actually go way further to get some seeds and plant correctly.
On a large scale as well.
Yeah.
You share your risks with
A group of people
that's
rather
You know what
than
I
just
mean?
one.
Yeah, you have a lot of people who are accountable for the fact that we all want to have a sustainable lifestyle. And I think that's what it boils down to. We all want to have some form of sustainable lifestyle because it's not just about us. We're thinking about our kids. We're thinking about our extended family members, and we just want to survive at this point. And I think it's important to have those times.
And even aside from the economics, like just the quality of food. Because I remember I was saying to you guys that even the watermelon that we have now,
No, it's not the same.
It tastes so different from what I remember as a child. And we think, we're here and there's, no GMO, there's no pesticides, blah, blah, blah. But the taste and the texture, let me not go too far into it, but you can tell they're doing
There's a
something
difference,
to it. So even just for that, I would just love to have, clean fruits and
Yeah.
vegetables
Right.
and know where I'm getting
it from.
my food from.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think this kind of like goes back. Again, I think we were having a conversation about this. Maybe I'm coming a little bit ignorant, but I was thinking, you know what? Because we're in Ghana, we're not subjected to GMOs and all of these like hormonal enhancements. But one of you guys was like, we have a different version of that.
Yeah.
We
Quick
have
ripening and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there's
Quick
always, like,
ripening.
tampering with
Yeah.
the food stuff. So it's never the same. You could see a plantain that is ripe, but you fry it and it's very like tasteless, and it's not supposed to be like that.
Right.
When you're ripe, you're supposed
Yeah.
to kind of like taste sweet.
Yeah. and the lack
yeah.
of regulation as well. I feel like people can do things and get away with it
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
there's
No
no
accountability.
regulation.
Yeah,
So
no regulation.
Yeah.
even just from our personal experiences, we can tell that something's being done that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So,
Even the subject of lack of regulation, we'll come back to that when I want to talk about, food hygiene and the way the regulation works over here. But that's something really important to note when it comes to the rise in food prices, because now you have to be extremely cautious about how you're planting your food and how you're harvesting it, how you're growing it, because it's not just about you now. It's about all the other people you're coming to nourish.
Right.
So that's actually something that's a little bit daunting. If you want to take on the task, know all the elements that come with it. Yeah. The last thing I will say is corruption has actually eroded public trust in the government and public institutions. I have seen a lot of Ghanaian citizens take to the forefront to occupy Julabi House. Did you guys catch that? I want to get your thoughts on it.
I honestly thought, at its inception, I thought it was actually really amazing because it's stuff that we're all living through, and
Yeah.
for the first time, we're seeing people
Taking
do something
action.
about it. Yeah, taking action, doing something about it. Because, like we've all said, the best way to get ahead is through our own governance. Like we should stop waiting because we've been waiting for a long time and nothing's been done about it. So once we take the first step, we're able to see certain changes, whether minute or not. We're going to be seeing
Definitely.
something.
Definitely.
They know that the populace will see something and say something that can always deter these men in power. Because if you don't hold them accountable, it's a free for all.
Right.
Yeah. I think the lack of accountability kind of opens up this whole scope of a free for all. Like anybody can get it.
Yeah.
Anybody can have free.
anything and get away with it.
Yeah.
But if you know the populace are gonna occupy.
Oh, trust me.
You will think twice.
Trust me. And that's something I think maybe the government needs to think twice about. And it's not, I will say I don't want to deviate too much away from the subject of food, but you see it in other sectors. Like, for example, the accidents that are happening on the Kumasi Road.
Right.
I mean, the vice president's wife was just involved in one.
Yeah.
That was wild to me. And it was like, how many times, how bad does it need to get? What is the level of danger that you need to feel before you feel like I need to do something? Does it need to personally affect you first?
Maybe you should.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a lot of vengeance in this conversation. But, she said what she said. I said nothing. No one arrest me.
Personal pronouns.
Yeah. No, but I'll say this too. I feel like, and the conversation of corruption was even pre-COVID. When I say corruption has eroded public trust, I'm not saying like a politician, but I'm saying because it's the truth. And I think each and every one of us have felt this in some way, shape, or form. It's important to note. Now that we have identified the problems, I also want us to talk about the solutions. I don't want us to come on here and just come and complain, but I know we have a lot of solutions to this, some that we've discussed on camera and some off. What are your thoughts about personally avoiding or maybe self-sustaining against these economic potholes, if you will?
okay, so I personally am a list girl. Like I love a good list. Like I never go shopping without a list in my notes. So I would say make a list, try to stick to it. When you see something that's not on the list, try and look the other way.
Temptation.
Let's try and stick to the list. That's always helped me.
Definitely budgeting. Yeah.
I budget my existence.
Yeah.
Excel.
I budget everything and then I buy in bulk. But then the key to buying in bulk is also buying things that are in season in bulk.
Yes.
So you time everything. Okay, when it's beans in season, when it's the tomatoes out, when it's onions in season, you just buy those things in bulk. It helps you mortgage against all this.
I think, mortgaging against these things, I think, are super, super important because you realize that when you're creating a demand for things that are out of season, the agriculturists, the farmers, they're going to have to answer to that demand. And you don't realize how much of a strain, because we're doing it at such a minuscule level, if you will, you don't realize how much it blows up on an agricultural level when they're trying to cater to the entire demographic.
Right.
So it's like, be conscious about those things. But yes, shopping within your budget, shopping within your list.
Buying in bulk and
Yes.
buying in season.
Yeah, and then adding to that, like just buy things that are not perishable, like like rice, spaghetti, dried stuff that you can store in the fridge that you can last long.
I don't store
and,
my beans in the fridge.
Yeah, exactly. Like it lasts longer.
Yeah, I haven't bought beans all of last year.
And even like back to the subject that I was talking about, even some of these doomsday preppers. Personally, I'm not the type, but I know that they have certain amenities at their house or certain tools at their house that they'll do to sustain their food. So some of them, I don't know what the machinery is, and some of you guys in the comments can tell me this, where they'll have like a pressurized cabin and they put all their mason jars in it. You heard about that, right?
Yeah.
They put their mason jars in it and then take all the oxygen out, and they're like, I've kept my pickles for 9 years. And I don't think we should be cropping on that. I think that's actually essential things. Let's not overlook the fact that we should grow, sustain, and cook our own food to keep us alive.
Yeah. You can go wrong with having rice in the house all the time. You freeze it, anything, and cook it. I mean,
There's rice at home.
I remember like what she does, like she would make like soups and stuff that would sustain like for 3 months.
Yeah.
She get me. So I get a cut because I like Nigerian dishes. So she would cook and just put some like on the side of it and just refrigerate it, because like first of all, you might be very busy. You can't be cooking all the time.
Tell me about it.
You can't be cook as you go. So like cook at home. You save money, and then you're guaranteed that your food is clean, safe, and
organic.
And organic. And I think it's like a step above food prepping. Because what I would do, for example, is, a lot of the bases of the stews that we have, or the soups you'll have, you'll blend tomato, onion, garlic, ginger. But what I'm doing now, and I find sustainable, is doing all of that blending. I go to the market, I buy in bulk, I blend everything, and then I freeze it. Do yourself a favor and start freezing your blends. Freeze your blends. Punchline for today, freeze your blends. Okay? Because it will sustain you. And I think those are the things that will stretch much farther. Something that I could buy maybe over a weekend could sustain me over maybe 2 to 3 months. Like
even
Grace was saying.
plantain, cocoyam, you can dice them all,
Just
freeze
freeze it
just
when
bring
you're
it up,
ready.
boil it.
Yeah, because honestly, like when I think about it, what's the difference between the frozen French fries and yams that I'm buying at ShopRite and me
But those have preservatives. You
Right,
get
exactly.
And then we'll rather
do
buy
yourself
those
a favor.
involved.
Yeah, do yourself a favor. Maybe avoid the cancer and just chop and freeze yourself. That one is my own. That one is my own. But I love that we've touched on these points, because I think like we've addressed a lot of the problems, but I think the solutions are what are important in this conversation, because those even who aren't living in Ghana, these are things that you can keep and sustain yourself. And I think like when you're out in these Western countries, a lot of people are complaining about the preservatives and the GMOs and all the things that are put into their food that are leading to, epidemics and colon cancer and all of these things. But if you're taking it upon yourself to just be active and proactive in how you prepare your food, you would minimize and mitigate a lot of these problems. And I stick with it, and I stand by it, and I'm standing on it. I know that's right. Yes. So I'll say this time and time again when it comes to food hygiene in Ghana, especially when it comes to street food stalls and local eateries. This could be due to a variety of reasons. This could be a lack of regulation. This could also be a lack of awareness. I know that in Ghana, there was a huge informal market when it comes to food, but I also feel like that gives us a reason to overlook some of these hygienic standards.
Yeah, especially how they package food. Like, oh my goodness. Like, so, when you make nylons, it comes in like hundreds, and they pack them. God knows how the storage is.
Right.
Dust, mice peeing on it and stuff. Then you buy the pack. And then, of course, you're not washing it or anything. You just take one out and you put in the food, hot food, that may lead to cancer and other health issues. And then you are buying this and you feel that that's okay. The first time that I moved here, like I was really like shocked. We went to like very posh restaurants, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have the rest to go. And then I open the pack, and everything is like tied in nylon bags, and I'm like, what? Like, why? Like, don't you have like proper takeaway packs? But why is this in a nylon? And it's steaming hot. Like we don't know, and it's okay with everybody. Everybody is doing it. Before even the people that have issues with it now, like cool down. And you know what? This is how it's done, so it's okay. But it's not. It's unhealthy, and I feel people should use their platforms to create awareness, because God knows.
Oh, definitely. I think like using your platform, especially if you have a really big following, why not say something about it? Because it's obviously something that directly affects you. So why wouldn't you do it to benefit others and let them know that there is something that they should be aware of? Something that really bothered me is that Ghana itself, and maybe I can't speak for other West African or Pan-African countries, but Ghana doesn't have the best regulatory framework when it comes to food hygiene and food regulation. So what we do is we come here, we complain about it first, and what we do is we assimilate, and just after we hear this is Ghana a few times, we just come to the terms where it's like, let me not complain about it. Let me not complain about how they're packing the food, or the fact that I found a hair in my food, or whatever the case may be. I'll sit here and I'll be quiet because I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, but there is some change. I remember some time back when there was that whole food poisoning incident
Right.
at a very well-known Moaco.
Yeah.
But
You know what? It's not that like we want to blackball anyone, but I know these are very like open things that happen here, and it was something that shocked all of us because this was an institution that we all frequented.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that, because obviously I heard about it because I was online and it was everywhere. So I think people are actually taking steps to actively make people aware. Like I think even doctors were tweeting about it, about families coming in and the numbers of people coming in,
tracing it back to
Moaco as well. So I think maybe people are not using their voices as much as they should. But they are, and from time to time, you tag someone and something gets done. So
I always say, if you see something and you say something, it curtails everyone.
So please say thank you.
And help your neighbor.
Help your son.
Yeah.
God damn it, it could be your son.
And like I said, it's
look out for each other.
look out for each other. It's not about blackballing a business or talking smack about anyone, but I think when we're in a circumstance or we're in an area where these things are prevalent, maybe we're not talking about these things in the States because there's so much harsh regulation on these things. But when you come over to this side and there's so much lenient regulation, there's some things we don't want to overlook until it gets bad. And it comes to the question, how many times, how many incidents need to happen until we do
something about
it. And so I think these conversations need to be had, whether they're informal between just girls gabbing over brunch, or they're happening at a governmental level. We say all of this to say that essentially it's our responsibility to make smart choices. If we can't trust in the government to do it for us, we have to do it for ourselves. And the whole point is to make an effort, not only for ourselves, but maybe for our kids, for our family members, for sustainability, for the future. And so take this into mind when you're making your choices in the grocery store or making your choices in the street food stalls. This has been a truly enlightening subject, and I would love to hear the thoughts from all of you guys watching. What is your opinion on the current food landscape in Ghana? Well, that wraps up today's episode of EATO'S Brunch. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all of the support you've given us so far. And I hope next time you are making healthier food choices in order to get the most out of your dining experience. Join us next time where we can talk about more, and let us know your thoughts in the comments so we can tailor some of these episodes according to your dining experiences. We'll see you next time.